The highs and lows of sports are exceptionally addictive. And I think when people leave the sporting world and they chase these highs and lows continuously in their next phase of life, it leads to extreme work addiction. It leads to a lot of abuse of alcohol and drugs. It is an extremely addictive side to being an athlete and something that many of us need to monitor in the next generation as they make the transition out of being an athlete and into the next phase of life. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of What's Next? Life After Sports. My name is Louis Baker, and I'm super excited to be here and a part of this journey with you as we have some incredible conversations and unpack some amazing journeys with people who have played elite sport, either at the collegiate or professional levels, and have now moved on to careers in the corporate world, entrepreneurship, or the trades. I think it's going to be an incredible journey, and I'm super excited to share this with you. Today is episode 1. I think it would make a lot of sense for us to talk a little bit about my background and give you a little more context into who I am, what makes me tick, and how we've gotten here today. So, I grew up in Australia on the Gold Coast. I played a lot of Australian sports growing up. My identity from a very, very young age was that I was an athlete. This was who I was. I played all the sports. I was that kid in the classroom that had a ball and I was just bouncing it all day long, probably annoying the science and English teacher way too much. Probably explains the grades I got in middle school and high school, actually, now that I think about it. But with saying that, from a young age, I wrapped my identity in being an athlete. And that led me to pursuing a career in sports. I had the opportunity at a young age to make representative teams and then be offered a couple different Major League Baseball contracts whilst I was living in Australia by Major League Baseball teams. Ended up deciding to forego these to go to college. And I ended up at 17, 18 years old, arriving here in America at the University of Central Florida with about $300 cash and an old brick Nokia phone that like didn't get cell service or anything, and ended up basically having to throw it away because back in 2015, 2016, when you come to the US from Australia, nothing really worked like it does today. There's not the interconnectivity that we have today. So I arrived completely alone, terrified. And this really led me to probably further exacerbating my identity wrapped around just being an athlete. Because quite frankly, it's all that I had. I didn't have family. I didn't have friends over here. I was an athlete. And quite frankly, that's the only thing that was going to get me through, I felt, this next transition in my life, which was to try to play college baseball, to then be able to play professional baseball and be a major leaguer for many years. That was the plans and hopes. That all came crashing down now, didn't it? And that is what has led us to where we are today. So, my long story short, my collegiate career did not work out. I had a bunch of injuries, I had underperformance, and this just led to a very underwhelming and quite unremarkable collegiate career when you sort of think back to the expectations that were placed upon me coming in. This is a really dangerous place to be. I believe, as a person and as someone who has their identity wrapped around being an athlete and being a sports star. And quite frankly, I think I even introduced myself in college. And now that I think back to it being extremely douchey and silly, but I'm on the baseball team. I'm a baseball player. That, when I think about it, is one, extremely shallow, and two, it just goes to tell you how I thought of myself, which I don't think is all that dissimilar. And the conversations I've had with people who have been college and professional athletes, that is how they viewed themselves too, a lot of them. Not all of them. Some of them did a lot better at the whole image managing and attachment, but I personally did not. And in 2020, when I lost baseball, I genuinely felt like I lost me. I I was severely depressed and had no idea what I was gonna do next. Keep in mind, COVID was happening. I was on the other side of the world. I was alone from my family and my friends, and I needed to basically pull an entire career pivot out of a hat in the span of like 3 months, or my visa was up and I was about to be kicked out of the US. So that would have meant I was starting all over again. And that was just not an option. So I ended up pursuing, like a lot of athletes do, really intense, meant to be prestigious careers off the bat. And I started in investment banking and then tried quantitative finance. And now I'm in management consulting. And quite frankly, I have found that chasing the professional prestige and accolades is extremely unrewarding and empty. And this is something that I tried to replicate through from sports. And it was something that I have pursued and struggled with. And I know from many conversations that I am not alone in this. And it is something that we need to address for the next generation so they don't make the same mistakes that we made. And if you're a parent of a child who's going through this right now, I hope that this conversation, this series can be really helpful for you to have conversations with them. And if you're going through this right now, or you're about to go through this, I hope these conversations and interviews and the words that are spoken really resonate with you, and that you find that you're able to not have to go through some of the school of hard knocks that I went through and some of my friends went through. But I promise you, whilst it is really tough in the moment and it feels like your world is crumbling when you lose sports and you grieve that side of your life, and quite frankly, it feels like you're grieving a loss and shedding this old identity and moving into this new identity, I promise you it gets better. It really does. And if you're fortunate enough to have the opportunities to play sport and get an education or play professionally, you have some incredible skills that you've been blessed with and that have been taught to you: commitment, dedication, time management, organization, consistency, and the list goes on. And the point of this is to help you realize these incredible skills that you have and how they're going to greatly benefit you in the workplace and differentiate you. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. There are some traits that you would have picked up that are going to be really detrimental to your professional career as well after sport if we're not able to shake those. So we're going to have conversations around those, and we're going to help you identify them ahead of time. And maybe you don't have to struggle for as long as I did and as long as some of my friends have and continue to. So let's give you the tools ahead of time that you can circumvent this. I will admit, being an athlete, the highs, the lows, the crowd cheering you on, the crowd booing you, it's exceptionally addictive. And quite frankly, it leads to really high highs and really low lows that you chase after sports. And it's something that we need to get ahead of and help the next generation so they don't have to go through this as well. Because quite frankly, I've seen a lot of my parents' generation, I've seen the generation above me, and I'm seeing my generation go through it. And we need to get ahead of it. We need to help people, yourself, not have to struggle with this as much as we did. And I hope that you're able to take a lot of the really good skills and a lot of the really good lessons that you've got from sports and apply them to make this transition and your career as absolutely successful as we can possibly make it. We're going to do all of this together, and it's going to be extremely impactful. And I cannot wait to learn with you. Let's focus on our growth mindsets and getting a little bit better together every day. That's the episode for today, and I'm super excited to see you in the next one. Have a good day.